You're looking to refresh that ride, just got into cycling, you're like, this bike is just not quite right. There's a lot of fitting features and upgrades you can do or swap out parts to make that ride more enjoyable. We're going to be featuring one of these particular products that are going on one of my repairs that a customer of mine, he wants to be more comfortable for those enjoyable longer rides. We're going to be looking at Redshift products, which he bought a whole slew to be installed. This is not a paid promo. This is just going to be an honest to God, true review of looking at these products and, hey, is it something for you? Maybe, maybe not. We'll take a deep dive on this with my 35 years of experience being in the industry and doing a lot of conversions over those years as a mechanic. We'll review that after this. Hey, welcome back to Another Guy Bicycles Hanging Out with a Guy. Hey, I'm Justin the Guy, and I got some new stuff here that's going on to a classic ride. We'll review that Litespeed Titanium in a little bit, but the bike was being dropped off. Customer of mine, very good customer of mine, several bikes I've worked on, and he is the kind of customer who just drops the bike off and goes, do what needs to be done. And being entrusted to do that, I go over and beyond every aspect of every repair that he drops off because I want to provide that excellent service. If you can find a service center or a mechanic like me in your neck of the woods, you're good to go. In any case, we were talking about this new bike that he purchased used, and a couple of ideas. He was in love with the frame and fork, but other than that, he was not committed to anything else specifically. It came with Ultegra componentry on it, which was a 9-speed, and the shifters were older and kind of bad. I cleaned them out and it did not revive. So we looked at some other options, and in that due to the process, I found him a 10-speed kit Ultegra triple, which is kind of a unicorn out there, and also Ultegra wheel set, which was in really good shape. So this thing's going to be decked out with a new 10-speed system, 30 gears total with all Ultegra throughout, with a Chris King headset. Well, keep that in mind. In that conversation, I did remember I had another repair last summer where this gentleman had a conversion of Redshift Seatpost and bars and stem, and the ride was pretty immaculate. A lot of these particular bits are being more commonly used on the gravel scene, but again, can be used for the road bike as well. So he has multiple bikes. If he finds that he likes it on this one, but it's really too much and wants to put it on his gravel bike, we can do some switching out. But he wanted to give the whole try, and he just kind of fell in the rabbit hole of, I should get this and this and this and this and this. So he basically got the whole enchilada that Redshift pretty much sells. We're going to start off with what Redshift is actually, which they're known for is their seat posts. So we're going to review a couple of these pieces before I install them. And one of the more popular pieces that they've been coming up with or hitting the circuits is the seat post. Well, suspension seat posts isn't a new thing by any means, but it's kind of gotten a revamp of life of new technology put into it. And this one is pretty cool because it has various adjustments that you can do, and it shifts slightly to the back. So it's not overly done in the sense of compression downwards or the old soft ride ones with the 2 linkage systems and the fold back. It's kind of like that, but less aggressive. This particular seat post, you're going to have several different combinations of adjustments. The only drawback to do those adjustments, though, is you have to go through the bottom portion of it. But the actual seat post itself is pretty nice, and it does shift backwards. On the bike that I actually rode this on was a Crux Specialized, and it was the traditional cyclocross gravel bike. With that particular bike, it actually really did soften up the ride just enough, just to give it enough comfort. So the seat post is something that's been pretty popular, along with the stem. The Redshift stem here is becoming very popular, and again, suspension stems are not the new thing. It's been around since the 90s, but one of the first ones were the soft ride ones, which was almost too much, and it kind of rocked you over. It was more on the mountain bike scene than anything else. They didn't really put the suspension seat posts on road or gravel. It wasn't even invented yet. So here we go. We got the elastomer pieces are built in. and still zip tied together within the package. So you can adjust that kind of give, or as much as you want, by just taking the head plate out, reinsert, and put it back. If you're going to be doing a lot of adjustments on that, if you like the fit just right, you want to mark your actual bar at the angle, so when you reinstall it, it's actually at the same position where it was before. If not, you're going to find yourself going down that rabbit hole trying to redo that. It comes with little elastomer bits for swapping out to different tensions and so forth. So those are the two main products that are going to be installed onto this Litespeed. So what that is going to do for the ride in itself is get a little extra comfort in the back, basically your seat, your back, and your shoulders. And the shoulders and the arms will be supported, and a little bit of give on the stem itself, but just that little bit of a degree. A lot of the information below, you can look at the degrees and text and so forth on that. But in any case, it's going to be really not too bad of a weight increase, but it's going to give you a comfort increase. So quite honestly, for recreational riding, if it's going to be more comfortable, that exceeds any kind of weight savings you can be looking for. So he went down even further. He went and saw these fancy kind of bars. Reminds me of the BMX days of the yesteryear. These are kind of cool because it actually gives you a huge elevated lift without having that super elevated stem. With a combination and a junction to the stem that has a little bit of shift to it, Redshift, actually will give you that extra comfort when you're doing those more bumpier rides and so forth. Would this be a little more better for a gravel bike versus road? Yes and no, depending what your conditions are and where you ride. Some roads in some areas that you usually do your road riding could be really bumpy and jarring if the road's not super smooth, or paths. So it could be used for either or. He's looking for really more of the comfort features and the uplift position. This will definitely elevate your cockpit position quite a bit, so you're not in that aggressive position, you're more upright, which will relieve some of the pressure on your shoulders and your back and your arms. So kind of a cool concept. They have a couple different sizes of these, so keep in mind. And with gravel, traditional is a little bit wider than you typically would for road. He kind of likes that wider bar for that wider stance for comfort and so forth. Extra little tidbits that he got into, which they were selling on there, is the bar tape. But before I go on the bar tape, they have this interesting kit, which is kind of like your specialized gel inserts. Well, here you go. This has the extra insert for the actual bottom portion of the bar to give a little more comfort, or actually goes around the top bar. So let's take a look at this here. There's two pieces, and one is going to go around this portion. And what that is going to do is give you that flat extension like you've seen on a lot of carbon bars for the extra distributing of that pressure on your hands. More comfortable. This is where most people for recreational riding, about 90% of their time, will be living. So that's going to definitely aid into that comfort. In addition to, he likes to lean down on the drops to stretch out his back and so forth. And there's also another pad that goes here as well to give that additional comfort when you're down on the lower bar. So those are the main huge weighted contact points where you're actually sitting on the bike for a long period of time. And if you actually increase those, there's a lot of thicker tapes out there, gel infused tapes and so forth. They have their own really long bar tape. Well, the reason why you have to have really long bar tape is you have increased surface area of these inserts. And with those increased surface areas, it's going to take you a lot longer to wrap around. You need more material, basically. Your traditional tape, that's going to be the pitfall on this in the sense, if you like a specific bar tape, it's going to be kind of hard to retro that onto this particular system, and you're going to be kind of stuck with this brand or long tape brands that are available out there. Not that many, but hey, honestly, bar tape, if it's done right and the inserts are put in correctly, you may not have to have any of those extra fancier tapes, which they are nice. Some are cushioned, some people like just the texture, all those things. It is definitely a touch point. So on your gloves, obviously the gloves are something very important. If you don't ride with cycling gloves, the touch point is going to be definitely more you're going to be more in tune with that than somebody that does wear cycling gloves, because you're just looking for that cush, which you can compensate that or change that with the actual padding of your glove. And keep in mind, you might as well want to switch those gloves out once a season or every other season, because, well, they get grody and nasty initially, but second, that padding and whatever reinforcement it has to support does break down. And hey, you know, the colors and flashing and all that, it's a low expensive cost to improve your ride. And we've always said this since the 90s, it's a great protection as well as a helmet. Obviously the helmet's more important, but if you do go down, the first thing you do is you reach out. That'll prevent your hand from getting pitted up or scarred as bad as it can with the actual padded covering there. A lot of them are a leather-based gloves, so that's added protection. Just a side note there. So looking at these bits, this is running, I think it was more around 500 or so. You may find them on sale with a combination. In addition to, he had a little mount here for his Garmin. So we're going to do all this assembly and adjusting and that kind of thing. And I'm going to do a little more deep dive research on each one of these parts. So when he comes in for his fitting, when the repair is completed, then we can really dive into how they work, how they're adjusted, what you need to know, and be mindful of tips and tricks. And when you do those adjustments, it's going to be one of those things that's going to have to take it for several rides and kind of fiddle with it. With all these, you pretty much have to, except for the bars itself, they're, you know, pretty straightforward. But when you're looking at the adjustments to the stem and the Seatpost, yeah, those are going to have to be done. Again, this is nothing new as within the cycling industry. They came out with these kind of bits back in the 90s, but now they're specifically for gravel road. You can use them on mountain-ish, but it really is for gravel road, where it definitely feels like there's a need for it. And for gravel bikes, you're not looking for the super lightweight as you are for high-end road. So that's where it kind of fits that niche of more comfort. And honestly, those gravel bikes, depending what kind of riding you end up doing, it could be more aggressive off-road riding versus just pavement and a little bit of gravel and some dirt roads. And if anybody's ridden on a lot of dirt roads, it has been me. I grew up on a farm. You got that washboard thing going on. Yeah, that's just brutal, even on a mountain bike. So when you're looking at these particular adjustments to make your ride feel more comfortable, first, it's going to give you more pleasurable ride in the long run, less body fatigue, which will increase your life on the bike longer. So hey, it might be a little bit extra weight, a little bit extra cost, but it might be a great upgrade for you. In any case, you don't have to dive in all of it all at once. You can just do one piece at a time, kind of direct the issues you may have at the time. But starting off with a decent fit, and there's several fit apps out there. You can do it yourself to do those adjustments to get the bike adjusted to you or to your body as best as possible. And then you can start diving into better saddles, those shock Seatposts if you have the lower region discomfort, that kind of thing. If you're having a lot of discomfort in the hands and the shoulders and the neck, the stem, and also the adjustment of those lengths, keep mindful there's different sizes to the Seatposts for fitting, actual different frame sizes, the bars themselves, different widths for people, as well as the stem too. So you might want to do that fitting first so you know what the general cockpit comfort is initially, and then start switching out these parts one at a time till it fits the whole enchilada, basically. That's if you need to go down that road. I'm not suggesting you need to. It's just an extra, it's just a nice added feature or upgrade if you want to add that to your bike or as options. There's plenty of them out there, but this has actually gained a lot of ground, and Redshift is definitely a decent brand. And hey, if you have something like this yourself and you've been riding it, please comment below. This is a community, and thanks for hanging out with me in the garage. And until next time, if it's beautiful in your neck of the woods, please go for a ride. I'll have all the additional information and so forth below. And hey, thanks again for making this channel, because it takes you to make this channel what it is today. Again, from the garage, have a beautiful day.